Hey guys, today I thought I would do a vlog on a subject I've been putting off for a while. But I think it's actually good to share this kind of information with everybody. I thought I'd do a vlog on protecting yourself from bad dolly deals. And this could be bad dolly deals as a buyer or a seller. I've only been collecting for 4 to 5 years, and collecting I mean by like groove dolls, collector level dolls, and just in that amount of time I've learned some valuable lessons about where to buy your dolls, how to buy your dolls or doll stuff, doll accessories, and some of them have been painful. They've been financial lessons. I've lost money, I've lost dolls. Sometimes the postal system is like out to get you, or that's okay, that was strong. It feels sometimes like between customs and postal services that things can get lost in the mail too. So I just thought I would share with you my personal experiences, and then also just some tips on how this is just me, because I'd love to hear from you guys as well, what I do to kind of protect myself so that I can limit these bad deals. I'm going to focus really, on this video anyway, on just buying, because a lot of times what we do is if you're buying dolls, you're also selling, right? You're buying and selling, and I am one of those people. A lot of the transactions that we do in this doll community are online, right? It's not like I can just go down to the store and get stuff. Sometimes I want something very specific, and it's in Poland. And I think what's unusual about our community, it's wonderful actually, is that even though we are global, right? We are a big global community of collectors, it still feels, at least to me, very close-knit, very, I don't know, very tight. And I would say that a lot of what we do from a transaction standpoint, buying, selling, is done based on trust. And if you think about that, that's crazy. Like, I would never go, I'm going to buy a car from Germany. Oh yeah, I trust you. Oh sure, I trust you. Oh yeah, we've had a couple of interactions, and oh my gosh, we both love, this. So I think it's just very cool on one hand that we do trust each other, but on the other hand, it still opens us up to situations where people can be dishonest or they're misunderstood. Sometimes there's a communication barrier. So many different factors. I've brought a doll for this video. This is my Kamarza custom doll. She's been made over a little bit, but she's always a reminder to me of one of my first lessons in doing dolly deals. I bought her on eBay, and I'll share this story quickly, and then I wanted to kind of share my notes. I've actually taken notes because I just kept going and going. I'm like, okay, nobody wants to hang out and listen to me whine for 40 minutes. Unless you do, then just call me. So anyway, this is my Kamarza custom. This was an artist that I had long admired on Etsy, and I saw her on eBay from a seller. In fact, I don't even think I looked at the seller's feedback. I just saw this doll. I felt instantly in love. I had to have her. And I did one of these make an offer deals. So I think she was up for like maybe $250 US. And so I offered $220 because I really, really wanted her. All these red flags, right? And the seller accepted my offer. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was so ecstatic, and this was a few years ago, so I was not wise in the ways of eBay back then. It took me 3 months to get this doll, and the lessons that I learned were, it's hard not to get emotionally invested, right? Sometimes you see a doll, you've been wanting it so bad, or there's an outfit or these shoes or whatever. It's something that you've emotionally invested in. It's hard to walk away. It's hard to say, I don't know, that seller has kind of terrible feedback on eBay, or you've maybe heard some rumors swirling through forums about this person, or any situation. There's an emotional investment that kind of compromises you, I think, a little bit. it made me a little bit unreasonable. At first I was like, okay, well, I'm super easygoing. I don't mind if it takes this person a little bit longer to send me the doll. They just didn't ship it. I mean, this person, I had to badger them for 2 months straight. There were threats. I'm like, I'm opening up a claim on eBay. Like, that's not who I am. I don't like to do that. But I was upset. This person has my money. You feel suddenly helpless. You know, I'm reading the rules on eBay on how to, you know, what is the recourse for a buyer. It got complicated. Sometimes these bad dolly deals are enough for you to go, you know what, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, I don't trust people anymore. I mean, this is extreme, but for a hot minute, a few years ago for this doll, I was very upset. I did not think I was going to get this doll. And when I finally did, let me tell you, there was tremendous relief. But the positive was I thought, wow, I learned some lessons. I learned some lessons about not jumping to buy something right away, do some research, look into the seller. How much do I really want this doll? There are all these little lessons I think I learned along the way. By the way, she's worth it. Kamarza is a fabulous artist, by the way, and I don't even know if I've done a review of this girl, so maybe it was a little bit of a bad, but now that everything's out on the table, I think I'm going to do a review of her. She's so cute. All right, so where am I going to start here? Okay, so here's where I want to focus, because there's so much to say on this, and if there's topics that you guys want to discuss, happy to do it. I am going to talk about where I buy my dolls, because I think that really shapes how I make my purchases. I break where I buy dolls into kind of 3 different tiers. I'm really not that methodical, but that's kind of how I think about it, right? So like that first level, that tier 1 level of buying, where platforms, it's like really established or structured platforms, the monsters like your Amazon, your eBay, your Etsy. I'll tell you why. And then it's also trusted vendors. Sometimes it's directly from artists, but there's kind of this group of platforms that I personally have either had really, really good experiences with, or there are measures, you know, restrictions in place to protect you as the buyer. So for what I call the monsters, your Amazon, your eBay, your Etsy, yes, you can absolutely have a bad experience. You can have a bad experience in any situation. But what I like about Amazon is, and eBay and Etsy, is there's a lot that you control, right? You control doing your research on the seller, right? Those places have feedback. There's ways for you to look into the history of that seller to make sure that they are reputable. There's also a chain of how things work if something goes bad, right? So on eBay, with this darling girl here, I was new to the game, but now that I think back, I'm like, you know what? It would have been time consuming to file a claim and do this and do that, but that's why that's there, to protect you as a buyer. It actually protects you as a seller too. So there's something very, to me, trustworthy about these platforms, because this is what they do. They're there to make money, but they're also not looking to get a bad reputation from bad dolly deals for sure. So I definitely do most of my buying from either those platforms or from what I consider my absolute like A+ trusted vendors, like Pull Up Style, like Jolie Doll, Pull Up World in Belgium is another one, Pop Fuzz in Brooklyn, Shifty Lizard. These are places that I would not hesitate to recommend to people. These are companies that get us as doll collectors. They know that we're neurotic about our tracking numbers. They know that we like fast service. They know the international game. So whether you're located in the US or the UK or the Philippines, these are companies that know exactly what goes down as far as customs and shipping. And so that's, when I do business with these type of companies, I feel really good. I feel like I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to get a tracking number. Everything's going to be okay. If there's a snag, for instance, if I get a doll and it's damaged, I know that these are companies that are going to take care of me. So that's kind of my tier 1, right? Tier 1. I would also include in that, by the way, buying directly from artists. So I like custom dolls, I like custom things, I like handmade things. And a lot of really established artists have their own websites. For instance, Poison Girl has her own website with her own buying system, her auction system. And she's incredibly, she's fabulous. She's a wonderful lady. And I wouldn't hesitate buying directly from the artist in that case. Popolina is another one. If you want eye chips that are incredibly realistic, she makes them from scratch. There's no pre-orders. There are so many fantastic artists that have their own website. You're not going to find them on Etsy. They're out there, and I would absolutely recommend them as well. If you're interested in any of these, I'll put them in the description. So that's tier 1. Tier 2 is, 99% of the time I'm going to buy from tier 1 because I don't want to worry. I just don't want to worry. If it takes a little bit longer to get, if there's a snag, I feel like I'm covered. Tier 2 is a little more complicated. This is your doll forums or your Facebook groups. So for instance, on Facebook, Omocha Crush has its own Facebook group. We're not a sales group, but sometimes people sell in that group. But there's a really big, really awesome sales-focused group called Pull Up Sales. I'll put a link to that because if you're not a member, you should be. This is a group that is highly regulated, right? You can't just post whatever you want and, be anonymous. You have to say, here's my feedback, right? Here's my feedback link. There's a feedback page that they store on the group itself. You have to share images of the item, right? Not stock photos. So you do feel kind of covered that way. It's a little bit less structured than a lot less structured than say Amazon or something. I'm a little bit lucky in that I know a lot of people. I guess you guys do too, because it feels like a small group. But I typically don't buy from those type of forums just because I feel like most of what I want I can get from those larger, more structured places. But that's not to say that I'm not always looking. I'm always looking. Sometimes I think I bought 4 pull-up bodies. Where else can you say that and not be a serial killer? I just bought naked bodies for cheap from someone in the US who was 2 states away. That was super convenient for me, very affordable, and it was with someone that I could quickly check their feedback and feel good about it. Feel good about buying headless bodies. Okay, so that's kind of tier 2. Again, reputable, but always be cautious, do your homework. And then tier 3. This is something I've almost never done. This is what I call when you're buying directly from individual sellers. So I've had 1 or 2 people either reach out to me or I find out someone tags me in some post and I'm not buying through a forum, I'm not buying on a website. Somebody sends me a message on Facebook and says, hey, I'm an artist and I'm kind of new and do you want to buy my doll? I know you like these type of dolls. I remember buying a custom doll like that directly from the artist and I loved the doll immediately and I bought it, but I'm going to tell you, I thought, what did I just do? Wait. Now I protected myself how, I paid through PayPal, but I don't typically do that just because I don't quite know this person. I don't have a history with this person. I can't go somewhere and necessarily look to see if they have feedback. This was a little bit different because it was directly from the artist, but it did make me worry just a little bit. And I think that the last thing you want to do in a hobby that makes you happy is worry, right? Worry about your money, worry about your dolls. I remember there was a situation, this was not from an individual seller, but it was a postage situation where I lost dolls in the mail and I also lost my money. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the selling video, but those things really stay with you. Like these are hard lessons learned, and it isn't just the money. Yes, it's the money, and that's scary, but you know, if you're like me, you love these. You know, these are adorable works of art, and knowing that they're somewhere out in the ether, right? They're just kind of, where do they go? Like, I've lost faceplates. I'm still mourning a faceplate I sent to the ugliest wife. It just never made it, right? I mean, I trust she didn't get it, but I'm just like, now what? You know, there's a little bit sometimes of now what, and I think whenever I buy directly from individual sellers, it had better be somebody I know. I think that was a lesson for me, to not just go, oh my gosh, I have to have this doll, emotional investment, and then hope that this person is legitimate. They were. The doll is beautiful. All right, so just to kind of wrap this up, because I know I could go on and on and on, I do want you to please share with me your tips, right? What do you do to protect yourself from bad dolly deals? But here's kind of my, I don't know, the rules that when my head's like, no, wait, hold on, Angela. Stick to the platforms that you trust, right? So it's up to you, absolutely, your comfort level of where you choose to buy your dolls. Feedback. Can't stress this enough. I mean, we are in a hobby that's based so much on trust, and that's great, but I have friends who are wonderful virtually, but they're not that great in getting things done. Do you know what I mean? Like they're great, but they're maybe a little bit absent-minded or something, and I wouldn't necessarily buy from them. Feedback is important. So, look into buyer protection. So wherever you are buying, just look into what recourse you have to protect yourself. You don't have to do it every single time. You just need to be aware, right? If you know you're going to be buying from these 4 places, what's my protection for these 4 places? Don't give up without a fight, okay? A fight is a strong word. I don't mean that. I mean, protect yourself, right? So if something happens to go bad, and sometimes it might, I mean, we do a lot of business, right? We buy a lot of, it might be a little $10 pair of shoes. Ooh, that does remind me. I did buy a $10 pair of shoes. It was from Thailand, but it was over New Year's. But this person, I think, partied a little too hard. It took me like 2 months to get a tiny pair of shoes. But don't give up. Don't just be like, well, I'm just never going to get it. It's okay. It's not okay. Do what you need to do. Follow up, right? Protect yourself. If something feels, I don't know, about walk away or do more homework. Okay, that was strong. Don't just walk away. You could do more homework, but there have been times where I'm like, this doesn't feel, I don't know how this is. And that to me now, today, 5 years later, is enough for me to go, I don't think it's worth having to worry about this or to fight for it. And then this is just kind of a technical thing, but if you are doing PayPal, right, a lot of the transactions that we do, right, are online and are done with PayPal. And if you are doing that, I would highly recommend not doing friends and family unless these are people who are actually your friends and family. PayPal is glorious in its instant transfer of money and quick payments and quick, right, money in, money out, but I know there have been some people who have had these experiences where the seller says, well, I don't want to pay those fees, so you're either going to pay the fees, fine, or you're going to have to send it to me, friends and family. Well, I am always happy to tack on $10 for fees. In fact, you could have just told me that the amount was this and I would pay it, because you always want to protect yourself. And whenever you don't do like goods and services, there's not a ton you can do about getting your money back. There's no record of it in PayPal being a business transaction, right? PayPal is thinking, oh, you just sent money between someone who is a trusted member of your family or a friend. So just, that's to me. Everybody has their own comfort level, their own guidelines. I typically don't buy or sell using friends or family unless it's genuinely someone I've like, oh, hi, and seen them at holidays. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I mean, I've been kind of sitting on this for a while and it's been percolating. And I have a lot more thoughts on it, but these are this is, if I had to just compact it into one video, this is what I wanted to share with you. Please, please tell me what you do, because anything we can do to help protect each other, I think, is a good thing, and will make our hobby even happier and healthier. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Talk to you soon.